With the new year coming in hot and the Valorant scene at an all-time high, 2022 is looking to start off with a bang. So in order to get you ready for this new year of Valorant, we have 10 new crosshairs that you've got to try out from today's upcoming and top pros. Make sure to copy those you like to one of your many crosshair profiles. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's just get into it. Nats is a player we all came to love during the Champions Tour Stage 3 over at Masters Berlin. His team ended up winning the whole event, and his insane Viper plus Cypher play played a huge part in that. One might wonder, how does he do it? Well, we went out to find the answer just for you. And honestly, it's clean and simple. 1-2-1-2, outlines on and in green. Haters will say it's more than just a crosshair, but in order to play a Viper game like him, the crosshair surely can't hurt. When you watch his streams, his crosshair might look a little bit different from yours still, even if you copied it correctly, but that's because he plays on 1280 by 960, which is a 4:3 resolution. But honestly, we wouldn't advise people to switch to his resolution too unless you're a really big Nats fan. Playing on different resolutions can be a little bit confusing, and trust me when I say it's not exactly a habit you want to get started on. Anyways, moving on to our second person on our list, we've got another hot talent, that being Heat. Heat plays for Vivo Keyed, and to say he's doing pretty good would be an understatement of the century. And with the performances Heat has been consistently hitting, it's safe to say he's been doing his country of Brazil very, very proud. He's been nothing short of amazing all year round, and I'm so excited for him doing similar things in 2022. Who knows, perhaps Brazil might make a surprise win in the new year. This last tournament might not have been the best for his team, but hey, they did take a map off the tournament winner's Ascend, and he was the match MVP for it, even besting Keznit. His crosshair is 1-3-2-2, no outlines, and in cyan. But again, it looks slightly differently on his streams as he plays on a custom resolution of 1728 by 1080. Getting that set up is even more difficult than 1280 by 960 though, so we wouldn't even begin to get started on it. But at the very least, 1728 and 1920 by 1080 are pretty darn close regardless. Next up, we've got a very special mention, that being Sentinel Zombs. Zombs is most likely the best controller player the game currently has to offer, and that's why we're partnered up with him for his upcoming ProGuides bootcamp. But enough about that. What we're talking about now is his crosshair. On the surface, it might seem similar to Heat's as he also rocks a 1-3-2-2, but when you actually look at it in game, it's quite different. Not only because he uses green instead of cyan, and he does in fact have his outlines on, but also because he's another fan of 4:3, rocking 1280 by 960. At this point, you might have to switch to 1280 by 960 after all. But if you want to know more about his settings or learn from the controller god himself, we're collaborating with Zombs himself to host a bootcamp to cover all of his secrets to climbing ranked, as well as how to make your mark as a star player. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity as seats are filling up fast. Click the link in the description to check out the details, and let's keep the show on the road. Next up is Defoe. Another big reason for Gambit's huge surge to the top of the world is their designated duelist player, Defoe. He might not be as flashy as a TenZ or Keznit, but with the caliber of teammates he has, he shouldn't be trying to make it all out to be him. In the end, it doesn't change the fact that in the last two major tournaments, he and his team have become first and second. And even then, even if he doesn't make the highlight reel plays every game, when he does go in, he goes in hard. He does all this, of course, by using his beloved 1-4-2-0 in green, no outlines because he doesn't need them. And obviously, no center dots or other funny business either. Defoe likes a neat and simple crosshair as much as the next guy, and this is pretty much exactly that. Personally, I'm a very big fan of this crosshair and use it in variations quite a lot. It works well for both AWPs and rifles, and to me, it's a go-to. Before we move on though, let's quickly get to our question of the day. Today's question, of course, being, what's your favorite crosshair? We've already got you with 10 really good ones with this video, but more never hurts, so leave your favorite, funniest, or weirdest crosshairs down below so we can try them out as well. Next up on the list is Keznit, and if you're a fan of Sentinels or a Fnatic fan, that name is going to sound awfully familiar to you. Keznit is Crew's flexible duelist player that has had a hell of a showing during the latest VCT Champions, mostly playing a lead role in knocking out not only Furia, but also Sentinels and Fnatic, the latter two being huge favorites over the series. How did he do this? Well, magic, or as we'd call it, 1-4-2-2 in cyan with no outlines. No, just kidding, his performance is obviously a lot more impressive than just that, but it is the crosshair he used to achieve it. Honestly, this is a great crosshair for just about anyone to use. It's clean, nice, and simple, and it won't get in the way. This alone should give you the confidence to frag out in games knowing that even a standard crosshair is represented by star players like Keznit. Next up is Leaf. Leaf has been in Cloud9 for the longest time, but ever since Vanity left version 1 to reunite with his boys from CSGO, he's been doing an insane job to say the least. Right now, they're looking like a top team not only in North America, but the whole of Valorant. His Jet has been crushing even top tier opposition, and it seems like he would really like NA to have another super team next to Sentinels. His Crosshair is 1x2x1x2 in white with outlines, and that's just what you'd expect from a Zoomer super talent just like him. He just turned 18 2 months ago, and with the showings he's been putting up so far, it's fair to say he's got a bright career ahead of him. And of course, by copying his Crosshair, you can too. Although again, if you really want to make sure you'll go pro and play exactly like him, switching to 1280x960 is the name of the game yet again, as he joins the list of its users. Even on 16:9 though, that Crosshair has got all the contrast you could ever want being with white outlines, and honestly, I love it just for that. Patan has been a name to look out for all year long, and he would have made the previous list if it wasn't for Hiko kicking him out. Fast forward to now though, Patan has made it to Champions, and 100 Thieves unfortunately did not, so we're giving him his well-deserved spot on the list. Patan is probably one of the most exciting players to watch no matter if he's on Jet, Raze, or Sage, but he excels at the duelists. If you haven't already, make sure to watch back a few games with this guy, as I'm 100% sure you won't be disappointed. For his Crosshair, he's as you'd probably expect from the guy, the most unique Crosshair on this list yet, that being a nice 2 thick dot in green with outlines. Once again, he's on 4x3 1280x960. Personally, I'm not a big fan of dot crosshairs, as I usually find them more of a hindrance than a help, but for some people, it turns them into a robot aiming headshot machine pretty much instantly. So if you like dot crosshairs or dare give them a try, don't miss out on this little gem. Patafan's already gone and tested it out for you. Now on to Zeke. Zeke has been given the near impossible role of playing the duelist role alongside Keznit, but even though he's playing next to one of the greats, he doesn't seem to flinch and he consistently performs at an extremely high level. With a talent like Keznit, it was only a matter of time until his team would win titles. But Zeke and his teammates having these insane performances themselves definitely helps. One could say that at this point, it's hard to even call out a star player from that team, as each individual player has the ability to consistently perform at an elite level. I mean, it's not for nothing that all year we've been talking about Keznit, but now that VCT Champions was won by them, it's not him, but Zeke that was crowned MVP of the event. Pretty well deserved if you ask me. So that begs the questions. What kind of Crosshair does the man use? How can one become better than the players like Tens or Keznit? Well, I know I just said the Crosshair was unique, but essentially it's the same one as we just mentioned, just in a different color. 2 thickness outlines on, just this time in white instead of green. Again, a quick 4x3 check by Zeke, having that same 1280x960 resolution. But yeah, it really goes to show how good a dot can be, especially when it fits the user. Don't really think it's possible to do any better than Zeke did in this past tournament. So if we can learn one thing, at least it's that his Crosshair can't be one to blame if you do end up using it. Well, I kind of already touched on it, but this win from Ascend was a great showing from the entire team. One I'd like to mention in particular is StarXL. Not only did he play very well in the grand final against Gambit, but he played well in the entire tournament, especially against the likes of Team Liquid. But perhaps even more important than that, and more relevant for you guys, he loves playing ranked. StarXL can be found regularly queuing with ranked, with Keznit having secured placements 21, 20, 13, and 3 in the previous 5 seasons. So if anyone, it's probably him that has seen the most Crosshairs. What he goes for though is a classic simple 1x4x2x0 in white and no outlines. Hey, my favorite one I just mentioned earlier, just in a different color. Like I said, I just can't get enough of this Crosshair, and honestly, it just works. But I suppose if you want to spice it up a tiny bit, you could use a different resolution than the default 1920x1080. For example, StarXL uses a 5x4 one, that being 1280x1024, which does give a slightly different look. But I suppose it's all personal preference, so tune it how you like. And now for the last person, we have the charismatic dancing IGL, Boaster. Even though he's not some cracked aimer who's on the front lines taking duels, it's very hard to play the game full focused while IGLing a world-class team. And Boaster still accomplishes that while fragging out. His Crosshair is an interesting one, and this is the most unique one I've seen in a while. This one requires you to have a dot and inner lines on, but you have to listen closely. First, you want outlines on at 1x1, and it's a green colored 1 opacity 2 thickness dot. Then for inner lines, you want to set your Crosshair to 0x6x2x0. This gives you a cool Crosshair that has a green dot in the center that has a hollow outer Crosshair. Personally, I've never used this, but maybe this could be the Crosshair you've been looking for the whole time. Anyways guys, that's gonna wrap it up for now. Make sure to pick out your favorites and set up a profile and check them out in game. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm, and perhaps even ring the notification bell if you want to stay up to date with all of our videos. With that being said, it's been Sergeant Frost, and good luck on the grind this episode.